Hello guys, DJParson here, and I bring you another game of the round of 16 of the World Championship. We're going to take a quick look at the current standings. Some of them, as you have already seen, are already decided. Sandapur, Lawang and Baida have advanced, but we have another exciting match, and that is in the middle we have Lemmingsplayer versus Megumi. And of course, we're going to take a look at the predictions that were made from members of the Through the Ages Discord channel. And you can see here that it is pretty even. Remember, this is a little bit the graphics, not that easy to read, but for Lemmingsplayer we have add blue to yellow, so he's slightly over 50%. But almost half of the people also think that Megumi has a chance and that he's going to take it. So yeah, keep that in mind for this crazy or hopefully very good game that is about to follow. So for the first turn, Lemmingsplayer is the first player, Megumi is the second. Of course, we can see Lemmings has already taken an urban growth, and we're going to take a look at the leaders and wonders. We see Colosseum as the only really top tier HA wonder. We have Hammurabi, Sun Tzu, no Zizka, Gutenberg but no Shakespeare. There is Barbarossa, Joan of Arc, Bach, but no Marlene. We do have Pierre, we have Einstein, Mandela. Hollywood is here, together with Bach. United Nations, Red Cross. We don't have the sewers, we don't have the ocean liner. We have the railroad instead. Okay, so I think it's kind of interesting that Lemmings doesn't take the Colosseum here. Well, I probably would have taken the Colosseum, especially with Barbarossa being here. I think that has a lot of values. I mean, there's not that many leaders with military actions. No H2 military action from the leader. So I think Colosseum would have value, but maybe Lemmings doesn't like the Colosseum. Megumi will just take Hammurabi. I mean, so maybe Lemmings still gets the Colosseum. So maybe that is not a problem. We will see if he now decides to go for it. He does go for Sun Tzu. And, oh, okay, also interesting. He goes with the Colossus. So we have Sun Tzu plus Colossus versus a Hammurabi on second position. I mean, that is dangerous for Megumi. We will see if Lemmings can put on a lot of pressure or not. He decides to build the mine first, not the lab, even though he could have done that with the urban growth. Megumi will go for Hammurabi. Can take the engineering genius. Doesn't get a wonder here. Builds a mine and increases pop, so no HA wonder for Megumi. But he didn't like the hanging gardens. Probably Lemmings will open the development of civil life. He will build. What did he do with that? Let me see that. Civil life. Increase population for just the one food. Alright, did build a mine, can increase pop again and take this breakthrough for 2 civil actions. He leaves the printing press, so we could see Megumi go for the printing press. But one problem would be he's already in a dangerous position, I think. So maybe he doesn't go for it. There's no Shakespeare, so it's not the highest value from the printing presses. But Megumi doesn't have a lab yet, but now he does. He builds one. Grabs the monarchy, can also take Joan of Arc. Okay, I mean, that makes sense. Joan of Arc is pretty good in defending, giving some extra strength if you really need it, and then also gives the military action to defend. So yeah, a lot of the pressure that was on Megumi is now relieved, and he's even setting up for revolution next turn. Could just go for that monarchy. Lemmings will open the development of agriculture to extra food. He can increase pop. Will build on the Colossus. Does he go for theocracy or not? He does go for the theocracy. Can go for next turn. So he could continue the pressure. Joan of Arc has potential for a little bit of strength, but not insane amounts. So especially if Lemmings gets a good tactic with Sun Tzu, he still has the Colossus and then goes for theocracy. There's a lot of potential for him, and he does show his first tactic, which is the heavy cavalry. But there's no Genghis Khan, so it's gonna be quite hard to fulfill that tactic. He just wants to play it anyway, and then that's gonna be it for him. Next turn he can go for Theocracy, he can finish the Colossus. And Megumi just goes for the Revolution. And thanks to Hammurabi, he has 1 civil action left, so he can increase population, avoids the corruption, so pretty good turn to go for this cheap monarchy for just the 2 science. And then he's probably looking for a new wonder, and this Universitas could be in the perfect position for him. That is going to come down. Lemmings, I mean, theoretically, he could finish the Colossus, grab the Universitas, but I don't think he's going to do it. So Megumi will finally get a wonder, I would think. But first, Lemmings will open another development, the one of crafts. He finishes the wonder. And he could just take the Universitas, but he doesn't want it. Grabs irrigation instead and goes for the Theocracy. So 5 strength from him now. That is a lot. Megumi probably has to go for Joan of Arc now. Next turn. So a little bit of pressure at least. He will have a lot of MAs. 3 from the Monarchy, 1 extra from Joan of Arc. I mean, he could also just build Aurora and then doesn't have to go for Joan of Arc yet. But this Colossus plus Theocracy is definitely putting some pressure on Megumi. I don't know, if Lemmings had another tactic, like Fighting Band, he could have gone for another Warrior, reveal the tactic, put on even more pressure, but he decides not to do it, or he doesn't have a tactic at this moment. So Megumi does go for the Universitas, and he can finish it this turn. So he's gonna start producing the extra science. Now the big question, is he gonna go for Joan of Arc? Yes, he does. And then grabs a breakthrough. Not the swordsman, not the frugality or anything, just the breakthrough. Okay. I mean, it's probably just taking it away. He has enough science now, so for him it's probably not worth it to spend 2 civil actions on that. But Lemmings doesn't have that much science production, so denying that from your opponent is pretty good as well. And it never hurts to have more science. But this will give Lemmings the swordsman. And it is the second copy, so no swordsman for Megumi. And then Lemmings is probably starting to search for a new leader, but most of them are pretty late. He still has, I would say, 1 more turn, so next turn he has to go for a new leader. Could go for Barbarossa, could go for Isabella. I mean, Barbarossa would work, right? He could set up an irrigation, but he decides against it, goes for the swordsman this turn. And okay, build 2 swordsman, so 9 strength from him. If he also has a tactic here, does he have 1? Doesn't reveal it yet. Oh, yes he does. So the Legion, 11 strength versus the 1, so he's definitely putting on the pressure. Megumi can't go for swordsman, he could go for knights, but he doesn't really have enough rocks. Maybe he has medieval army and then he could defend. But Lemmings is still gonna draw new cards. He has a lot of them in hand, so he can probably keep at least 1 aggression, maybe even 2, and then really punish Megumi for being weaker. So this is quite a good strength push. And I think this is exactly what Lemmings needed. He needs something out of his Colossus, out of his Theocracy. Megumi grabs iron for 3. Okay, he's not impressed by the strength. He says, okay, do your worst. I can't defend anyway. I'm not gonna even try. So let's hope that Lemmings has kept some of his aggressions and that he can go for that now. But I would definitely expect that. Yes, the Enslave is the first one. 2 rocks, 2 food. That is quite a lot. And Megumi will lose 1 population. And that is not the biggest problem for him. He has quite a lot of that. So not the worst for him. But Lemmings getting 2 extra food gives him 1 more population here. And the extra rocks. And we'll see what he plans to do with that. He could go Ilianor here and then go for the Taj Mahal. Will he do that though? Looks like no. He's gonna run out of his leader. I mean, maybe he's setting up for Gutenberg. That's why he grabs the alchemy here. I wouldn't have hated to see Ilianor here, to be honest. Just grab Ilianor, replace Sun Tzu, get back the civil action, so that has value already. And then he could have taken the Taj Mahal for free. Yeah, but he decides against it. Okay. So next turn he can go for irrigation and then maybe go for Gutenberg later. Wants extra science with the alchemy. Yeah, it's probably a little bit unfortunate that the leaders were so late for him. And he's gonna lose Sun Tzu at the start of H2 now, but even gets extra cards. So Eleanor would have also given a lot of culture. And he's probably able to push. So I would have liked Eleanor, but he decides not to go for her. Development of Religion, pretty late one. But Megumi can take that one gladly. We'll give him 1 strength. Still not enough to defend, but he can go for Knights. Can even build one, and that will give him a lot of strength if he has a tactic. And he does have 6 strength. Still not enough to guarantee him to be able to defend, but almost. I mean, yeah, probably not almost. He needs 2 defend cards still. No, he doesn't even need 3. Oh yeah, 6 to 13 is quite the gap. He needs 7 extra strength, so 3 defend cards. Yeah, so we could see another aggression here from Lemmings. I mean, he did build that extra swordsman. So he maybe even has drawn an early war from the Colossus or a good H2 aggression that could really hurt Megumi. With this many cards in Lemmings' hand, I wouldn't be surprised to see another aggression. And there it is. It's the raid from H1, so no H2 card used here. 2 more rocks. Megumi will lose that religion that he just got. Lemmings, of course, takes the free religion as well. He will then go for a little bit of irrigation upgrades, but we'll have corruption here, I guess. Grabs the code. Still waiting for an H1 leader. Can go for Gutenberg next turn still, and then go for the alchemy. Early Conmon, that might be important, but Megumi grabs drama, revolutionary idea, upgrades 1 iron, and develops that drama. I mean, he has enough science, so developing that doesn't really hurt him. He doesn't really have a lot of population, but the 1 population that he still has could go to the drama, start building up some culture. And of course there's synergies for that, especially with Bach, maybe with Gaudi, but he doesn't really have enough population for that. And that is becoming his biggest problem for Megumi, his population. He didn't grab the irrigation, there's no ocean liner, so the only hope that he has to get more population is this selective breeding. Or colonies, there could of course be colonies, but 3 of those cards were played by Lemmings, and he has the Colossus with the extra colonization force. So if I'm Megumi, I probably wouldn't try to rely on colonies. So Megumi finishes his turn, and it is Lemmings' turn again, who can go for an aggression, but Megumi is able to defend. That hurts a little bit. This plunder would have been even more reward for Lemmings. But at least it's only 1 military action that Lemmings has to spend here. Megumi is going to lose a lot of his military cards, 2 colonization cards. So yeah, of course it would have been better if this aggression would have gone through, but Megumi, after the 3rd aggression in a row, he's finally able to defend it. And then Lemmings goes for Gutenberg, will elect him, so finally gets his H1 leader. Will develop the alchemy, grabs knights, and upgrades. Okay, he upgrades 1 alchemy. He needed to do that. No, he's still not gonna get out of corruption. I don't know. I'm not too convinced by I mean, maybe there weren't that many options for him, but the last 2 turns were a little bit tricky for Lemmings. He's still on very low civil actions. Gutenberg definitely helps with that, but he can't even wait for Gutenberg that long. He did upgrade 1 alchemy here without using Gutenberg. So he's not gonna get much out of Gutenberg for a long time. He skips the first 2 leaders. I still think Eleanor would have been very good. He could have replaced Eleanor this turn with Maria. Maria here wouldn't be perfect, but she would be alright with his food production. Could build up more military and then get extra science from increasing population. Like this, he's gonna skip the first 2 leaders. Next turn he can use Gutenberg once, and then it's basically it. Yeah, maybe he has enough population to build 1 more philosophy and upgrade it to alchemy, but he doesn't really have the happy phases for it. And he's gonna end this turn with corruption once again. So he's had 2 corruption this turn and 2 corruption last turn. I mean, sure, he did get extra rocks from those aggressions, but it's still not ideal. I don't know if Eleanor would have helped with that part. But yeah, we'll have to see if this early game definitely looked like it was in Lemmingsplayer's favor, because he got all those aggressions off and was able to win 2 of them. But as you said, Megumi kind of said, okay, you get your aggressions, I get my rocks and my science up, and that's what he's still doing here. His biggest problem is food, as we said. But yeah, he has a lot of rocks and he has a lot of science, something that Lemmings only is just now fixing. The science, rocks he's not going to be fixing, and especially with his corruption he has even less than his 3 production is indicating. So he's having some problems with that. So Megumi will grab the strategy, can go for this turn, so aggressions will not be happening anymore, I would suspect. Will go for 1 drama and grabs reserves, so these reserves can be 1 more food, or 3 more food for 1 more population. Maybe can even time it a little bit to get 2 population out. And then I think the most important part this turn was the strategy, finally stabilizing his military, denying Lemmingsplayers any more aggressions. And now he can, fix the rest of his problems, which is mainly, as we said, the food, but he can, with the reserves, get 1 more population. That has to go to the drama, but he is building up a culture production that Lemmings doesn't have yet. And then, of course, the rocks. So Megumi, what he probably needs the most is good wonder. We have the railroad, the Eiffel Tower, the Harvard College. I guess all of them would be fine. Maybe, Kremlin wouldn't work because of happy faces, but that will also be gone. So he's going to be looking for another wonder pretty soon, I would imagine. And Lemmings has to decide, does he want to try more aggressive play? But no, first we get the wealthy territory, which is good for him, no doubt. He gets this for 4+, just the 1 warrior. Didn't really need that anyway. He has 3 swordsmen, is stronger with this still. Has a lot of rocks now. The big question is going to be, how does he spend them? First of all, he will just build 1 alchemy with Gutenberg. So with sending away the warrior, which is really good for him because that frees up 1 population. He doesn't have to put that population into happy faces. He can put it into the alchemy. And then what else does he do? Upgrades 1 more alchemy here as well. Still, or again, not with Gutenberg, but he at least gets out of corruption here. He's able to grab a breakthrough, can next turn go for the code. And then maybe next turn he can go for Charles Darwin. Darwin would also work for Megumi, so I would expect Megumi to take that one, honestly. Because it would be pretty good for Lemmings. Sure, his religion would no longer be producing happy faces and he would need another way to get those. But Joan of Arc is basically doing nothing for Megumi at this point. 1 culture, but the MAs almost impact less because he has so many thanks to the strategy. So I would expect that now it's time to go for new leaders for both of them. Gutenberg has done what he does. He can't use them anymore. So both of them are searching for a new one. There's only 1 on deck. So I would expect that Megumi goes for Darwin here. But first he will open the rebellion, but no one has discontent workers anymore. He will increase pop. Build another drama. Does he go for Darwin? No, apparently not. Grabs the cavalryman, grabs reserves and wave for nationalism. That's a lot of rocks in his hand. And with the reserves here, he can... he could use both of them for food, get 1 more population out. Could put that one also into the drama to get more culture production. And of course, there's still hope for him that he gets selective breeding soon. I still think he should have maybe gone for Darwin. I don't know what other leader he's searching for. Maybe Bach. Sure, Bach would be a lot of culture production. But he already has researched the drama. He has already built 2 of the dramas. So he could rebuild 1 philosophy into a drama with Bach. But Bach would mostly be there to produce culture and do nothing else, basically. Gaudi is an option, sure, but Darwin here would have worked, given 2 culture production, no downside. And then extra reach, maybe for the selective breeding from the discount on the civil actions with Darwin. But looks like he doesn't want that. He stays with Joan of Arc. Of course, she is still giving him intel what's on top. But now Lemmings will use his science to go for the Code of Laws. Will be able to go for Bach, grabs him for 3. And then he also has to grab the Opera, I would assume. Elects Bach, grabs the opera. Yeah, that's it. So yeah, he decides Darwin has some downsides, and Bach being here, this doesn't leave that many options for Megumi to replace his leader. Sure, he can go for Nobel. Nobel is always an option without needing any setup, so he does work. But he's not going to produce any culture. Lemmings gets a way to catch up with the culture. He has this religion that he can upgrade to an opera. He can upgrade one alchemy to an opera to get easy culture production without spending too much, because rocks are his biggest problem. He hasn't upgraded his production. His opponent has a lot of rocks, has extra rocks in hand as well, and Lemmings will once again have some corruption. But he still has 10 rocks in the bank. Megumi opens another territory, the strategic, and actually Lemmings not lucky with his colonization card draw, because Megumi wins this one for just Aurora, and of course I would have expected Lemmings to pay one colonization card if he had one, but he didn't. So yeah, I would definitely call this unlucky. He's drawn a lot of H2 cards, and he probably played the colony, so I would have expected him to know to hold on to colonization cards. So yeah, unfortunate for him. Megumi will be able to win this one. Does cost him population, so that is something that Megumi needs, but he will destroy a lab. 2 labs actually. Okay, this game is gonna change gears quickly. We went from Lemmings being stronger, being the one playing aggressions, who now wants to build up culture behind this. But Megumi says, no, I get my wave of nationalism. I get 1 free cavalryman, can go for another one as well. Go down to 2 science production, but can upgrade that with Nobel soon. What does he else do? Upgrades 1 more. 14 strength will show his hussars. So he has a new tactic going up to 18 strength. So he says, okay, you pressured me early on. Now you try to go for culture behind this, but I won't let that happen. I'm not really in the position to go and keep up with your culture production, because you have Bach and I have no culture leader. Gaudi works a little bit, but not that well. So Megumi says, I will try the military route from now on. He did definitely have different options. He could have gone for scientific method, for example, with his 2 labs, go for them. Go for selective breeding, which has just shown up, and then with the population try to keep up in culture with Gaudi. But he decides no, maybe he has wars in hand, maybe he sees this opportunity. Next turn he could use reserves, easily build another cavalryman, fulfill the tactic again, and get the extra strength from Nobel. So Lemmings has a problem now. He needs to decide where he puts his population. He will rebuild 1 alchemy into the opera. Can increase pop. Does he have to build? No, goes for the knights. Okay, we'll build 1 knight. And that's it. Nothing else. Doesn't want any of these cards. So at least he gets some extra strength, but also one problem for him. He has shown that he has no colonization card. So Megumi could even just go for an aggression here. Lemmings is only drawing 2 cards. So not that likely that one of them is a defend card. So Megumi could try an aggression here. And he will not do it. He will go for war over territory instead. And of course he can use the reserves, go for population, build 1 more cavalryman. Gets Nobel in hand as well. 27 strength all of a sudden. Destroys an iron. Okay. Builds another one. He wants to completely empty the bank of Lemmingsplayer's yellow bank. Yeah, 30 strength now. 30 strength. Grabs the selective breeding. Can go for that next turn. I mean, it is super costly to destroy 1 iron. So I don't know if I agree with that part, to be honest. Maybe he did some math and saw what Lemmingsplayer could do. Can go for the navigation. 1 more knight and maybe new tactic or something. But it's super costly to destroy 1 iron to just get the cavalryman, because this extra cavalryman doesn't fulfill the hussars again. So he didn't need it for that. So the extra cavalryman is only for this 3 and for the 3 strength. So I mean, he probably did the math. He probably knows, or maybe knows, what's in the deck. But still, it is super costly to destroy one iron this early on. That's gonna have a big impact on his production from now on. And I'm not sure if it was needed, but we will see what Lemmingsplayer can do now. First of all, he will open the knowledge of the ancients. Not a lot of wonders this game. Only 2 science for Lemmings and just the 1 for Megumi. Lemmings will then go for navigation. We build another alchemy into opera, so 12 culture production from him. We'll destroy a mine, build a knight. Does he have the classic army? He does. So 8 strength from that one is quite good. So his military is not looking too shabby. If he didn't have this new tactic, it would have been problematic, but he did go for those knights. He made sure he could fulfill this tactic. Goes up to 23 strength. Still not enough, but at least he will get in patriotism into his hand, as well as, I don't know, rich land. No, he decides to go for the engineering genius instead. So he still has problems. He is gonna lose 2 yellow cubes now. End of the age will also occur, so he's gonna have a happy face issue. Not much population and not a lot of rock production left either. And his opponent still has more or double his rock production even after destroying 1 iron. So yeah, this war is gonna be quite good for Megumi. So H3 will start. At least Lemmings will draw 3 cards immediately. That could be a defend card, could make sure that he can defend against an aggression that might follow. But Megumi could also follow up with another war. But first, of course, he steals 2 yellow cubes, goes for an aggression, but yeah, Lemmings has drawn that defend card from the Colossus, so that coming in super clutch. Megumi then gets the justice system, develops that. Maybe selected breeding as well. Yeah, can upgrade both of them if he wants to, and he does want that indeed. So you will have a lot of population, 1 each turn. Not enough rocks for 1 cavalryman each turn, but with the reserves, next turn he can play that, build 1 more cavalryman, fulfill the tactic again, so that would be quite a jump. So Lemmings, I think what he needs now is every little bit of rocks into his hand. First we get the Ravages of Time. Perfectly timed for Lemmings. You don't want the Colossus anymore, or after it has drawn the 3 cards in H3, the value becomes pretty low, but the Ancient Ruins now, the 2 culture production is a lot better than the 2 strength, probably. Megumi, on the other hand, will lose half of his science production to the Universitas, so that was probably played by Lemmings and really nicely timed. Then we will see, will he... I mean, he doesn't have an active uprising, so he doesn't need to rebuild an alchemy into opera, can still keep some culture science production, but he grabs the cannons. And okay, he will. He just says, I don't need science, I only need culture. Rebuilds 1 more alchemy into opera. There is Gandhi. Gandhi could be huge in this game. If Lemmingsplayer gets him, he would just hide behind him. His culture production is a lot higher than Megumi. He has caught up to him and is going to be overtaking him rather quickly. Lemmings then also has free population, will go for 1 knight, 23 strength to the 30. So with that, he again only needs 1 defend card to be able to defend. Maybe that's the reason why he did go for that knight. So yeah, he has cannons in hand. I don't know exactly what he wants to do with it. Maybe he has a tactic for them. I mean, with 3 swordsmen, 3 knights, he could have a Napoleonic army. Only needs 3 cannons, even though that already is a lot of rocks. He only has 5 now. So the biggest problem would probably be now if Megumi has another war. We're gonna see if that is the case or not. No, but he has another aggression, but this one fails again. So Lemmings, maybe from the card draw from the Colossus or from this normal card draw, he is fortunate and has another defend card. So another aggression from Megumi is prevented. And this one actually even costs him a little bit. 3 MAs, and he only has 5. So he's not gonna be drawing the full amount of military cards this turn. Especially with him building another cavalryman. So he's only going to be only drawing 1 card this turn. So the 3 that he lost to the failed aggression definitely hurt him. Of course, this makes it more likely that he can go for another aggression next turn and finally will get that one through. So he does build the extra cavalryman, grabs frugality, so 2 population from next turn. Urban growth, can probably go for 1 more drama if he wants to. So pretty solid here. Doesn't need to deny the military theory because his opponent is on 0 science production. Even if he gets 1 revolutionary idea, that's not going to be enough to go for the military theory. So strength builder from Megumi, culture from Lemmings. Is there going to be a Gandhi to save him? Not yet. Urban growth, efficient upgrade. And that's it. Not a lot of action in Lemmingsplayer's turn here. Not a lot of action at all. He will have enough rocks next turn to go for 1 swordsman, 1 knight. So he would fulfill the classic army again. I wouldn't expect him to be able to defend another aggression. So if Megumi has a good aggression, he's probably going to be going for that. But remember, he only drew 1 card last turn. So yeah, he doesn't have the best options for having H3 aggressions again. If he has a war, he probably would go for it though. Even with 1 more army, Lemmings doesn't have that much. And actually, we do have the raid. 8 rocks stolen to Megumi. That's a lot of rocks for him. And 2 operas lost for Lemmings. Yeah, that one hurts quite a lot. 14 rocks now in the bank for Megumi. He will pop 2 times. And go for multimedia. Okay, he says, I haven't drawn a war yet, probably. But I have a lot of rocks. I can build that one. There it is, that one multimedia. Go up to 11 culture. He does also go for Mandela. I mean, sure, works somewhat, but not really. He doesn't have to pay the 3 extra civil actions, but he does get the 1 extra civil action back now. 2 culture production, better than the 2 science from Nobel, probably. If he gets pro sports, he can also get the extra culture from Mandela, but I think it's mainly just that he thinks he needs culture from his leader now. He's going to go up to 11 production, and Lemmings is down to 10, and doesn't have a lot of rock production. So Megumi still has a lot more rock production, can easily build another drama next turn, still has the military option, but this also keeps his other options open. He will not fall too far behind in culture. Still is falling behind, but not by that much. And wow, autonomous territory, 14 to 14. I don't know, is this going to be too expensive for Lemmings? Maybe he should have left it to Megumi for 1 army, because that's what I assume here, that Megumi had some colonization cards and was willing to send away 2 cavalrymen. But Lemmings will take it for 3 units, 2 knights, 1 swordsman. I think this is too expensive. What will he take from this? He will take the 7 culture, actually. He is probably going to be relying on Gandhi then. He probably has to take Gandhi, yeah. Okay, so his idea here is get the autonomous, go for Gandhi. After Gandhi, military is not going to be mattering, really. And you can't really give your opponent the autonomous anyway. If he gets the autonomous, he's going to go up to 6 military actions. And then Gandhi isn't really the safety that you need. He doesn't have enough science to go for more military actions. He doesn't have enough science to go for fundamentalism or anything, at least not in the near future. But if he had gotten the autonomous, he would have gotten those 6 MAs. So Lemmings, yeah, probably was forced to get this one, and then will go for Gandhi. With the urban growth, he can even build another opera, so he's gonna go up to 14 again. He does have a lead, 91 to 57. I think the biggest problem could become that he doesn't get a wonder and his opponent will. His opponent could even go for the International Red Cross, could go for Hollywood. He is ready for Hollywood as well. So now it's a race against time for Lemmings. He has to hope to end the game as quickly as possible, carry his culture lead. But first we still get a war, the war over technology. Gandhi is not safe from this one. And then Megumi will get the fundamentalism plus revolutionary idea. So he will be setting up for a war. I'm not sure if he has time for that, because he can't declare the war next turn. He only has 5 MAs. unless he has the hybrid war. I don't think he will have the time to go for War of a Culture, but the hybrid war could definitely work still. We'll build one religion instead of the... Okay, that's interesting. Religion instead of drama. Maybe means impact of variety, but do we have... We don't have any impacts yet. But yeah, 35 strength versus only the 9. And Lemmings probably has to ignore this completely. I mean, maybe he can go for one knight, but is that even going to be enough? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. He probably just has to make sure that the age will end next turn and that Megumi won't have the chance to go for War of a Culture. But first we get the prosperity, so some extra food for Lemmings. We'll grab reserves, patriotism, another reserves. This is not making sure that the age will end, right? 3, 4, 5 cards taken, so 5 left. I mean, it is... Was it possible? I don't know if it was possible. He could have grabbed mechanized agriculture pro sports, but he can't get more cards into his hand. So his hand space actually is the biggest issue from here. He can't use the yellow cards he's drawing this turn. He doesn't have enough science to develop cannon or rockets. And he can't use the engineering genius, so actually he can't take more than 3 cards. But wasn't 3 enough? No, 3 wouldn't have been enough. If you grab Mechanized Agriculture, Pro Sports, and one of these yellow cards, only 3 cards drawn, 3 go off the deck. So 4 cards left, Megumi could just not take a single card and would have the time to go for War of a Culture. So correct move by Lemmings, grab all the rocks that you can and then try to prepare to defend next turn when the War of a Culture might come. Or in 2 turns, because Megumi, as we said, doesn't have the MAs this turn to declare War of a Culture, but it can prolong the game. So yeah, really, really close. Just the 1 card that is going to matter here. If there was 1 card less in the deck, Lemmings could have finished the game, and that probably would have made sure that he wins. Now it becomes tricky. He still has a big culture lead. He has potential to defend next turn with the reserves and the patriotism. He can definitely go for another army. But yeah, Megumi will steal a lot of science here first, steals navigation, the 4 science that are left, and the code of laws. Will then push, open the refugees, this helps him of course as well. Then would assume that he goes for fundamentalism here. Will destroy food production, all his food production actually, doesn't need that anymore. Yeah, he's setting up the war. So unfortunate. 1 less card and Lemmings could have ended this, but this way he can't. Megumi does go for the fundamentalism. 2 more cavalrymen, 3 more cavalrymen. Next turn he has enough with 5 rocks to go for 1 more, fulfill the tactic again. So 56 strength from him. And of course he doesn't end the age, doesn't make that mistake. So 2 more turns. And that is not what Lemmings would have hoped for. He will open the vast territory and is able to win it. I mean, he will also get the military buildup here. Maybe he can go up to 3 armies. This at least will open up a lot of population for him. Oh, really? International Red Cross? I mean, that probably means no more defending? I mean, probably 1 knight. He has to know that the war is coming. But grabbing the Red Cross maybe thinks his civil actions are better invested in a Red Cross than defending. But I think that's hard to see. I mean, sure, Megumi can't steal away steps of the Red Cross. He just doesn't have the food because he needs it to not starve. But what does Lemmings do here? He will build 1 stage. Will increase population with the other. Builds a knight. I don't know, couldn't he have gone for the military buildup? I mean, population is the biggest issue, of course. But if he hadn't used the food on the Red Cross, he would have gotten some extra. Could have destroyed the mines. I mean, he also would have needed to spend a lot of civil actions to spend the reserves, to destroy things. So maybe it's not going to be possible for him to go up to 3 armies. Probably only because of civil actions. Using the reserves, destroying things is probably more than he can do. So he's probably just preparing to go for 2 armies. Probably. And then probably use his food to get some extra culture from the Red Cross. Your opponent can't really go for that. So yeah, maybe the best thing he could do, maybe the military buildup is not impactful here because he just doesn't have the civil actions and the population. But yeah, H4 will start and we're gonna see a war for Megumi. There it is, war culture. 1 MA left, that will be one more cavalryman. And destroys all of his production, build that cavalryman 63 strength. So we're gonna get one war, one big war, but we are at 93 plus 12 versus 142. I think that's not gonna be enough for Lemmings. I think this war is just too big, especially because there could also be an aggression afterwards from Megumi. We don't have that many impacts. I mean, 3 impacts. That can be quite punishable for Megumi because he has destroyed all of his production. Next turn he's gonna have some big problems. He's gonna have starvation, and not a little bit. He's gonna have 3 starvations though, so 12 culture will be lost if he doesn't handle this. But he's 0 rocks next turn, 0 food in hand. Yeah, how is he planning to solve his starvation? Probably not at all. So maybe there is hope for Lemmings. National Pride will give Lemmings 5 more culture. This could get close with Megumi having starvation, with Lemmings getting some extra military here. We see him use the food. Is he just gonna go and spend all of his food on the Red Cross? Okay, so he's not gonna be defending at all. Decides destroying everything is bad for impacts. Yes, maybe he could have gone for 1 more army, but I think here again, civil actions. He didn't prepare for it last turn. So for him the decision was he grabs the Red Cross, gets 24 culture from this. If he had not done this, he could have gotten 1 more army. I'm not sure if it's better to go for the Red Cross than go for the army. The army is 8 plus 6 from, no, plus 8 from the units, so that would be 16. And that, of course, with the war means a swing of 32. But it might be better for impacts to keep your population on the right buildings. He has 3 impacts in here. Yeah, so we're gonna see. He has quite a culture lead. But the war is also really, really big. A swing of, what, like almost 50 culture. So Megumi will win this one by a lot. 51 culture will switch hands. Megumi doesn't have an aggression, so that is good news for Lemmings. Grab air forces. Yeah, the rest here doesn't matter. You will have the starvation. So he's going to lose 12 culture, so he basically produces nothing here. So, yeah, impact of technology 12 to 0. That is such a bad start. That was definitely played by Megumi. I think if Lemmings had hope, that would have involved his opponent not having the impact of technology. I think the last 3 are going to be good for Lemmings, as we see here. Impact of agriculture 8. We get another one, culture 10. And then the last one is going to be architecture 5 to 6. That's not even that big. So yeah, congratulations Megumi. The 1 war was enough. Despite Gandhi, Megumi was able to get off the 1 big war. And that is enough culture stolen to give him the victory. Rather close. Rather close. If Lemmings had a little bit more strength. Yeah, a lot I think comes down to the decision on the autonomous. Here in the late game, of course. I think I agree. I can definitely understand his reasoning to go for the autonomous territory. Don't give your opponent the 1 big MA, because that almost made sure there would be no war. But Megumi did have the war for technology that gave him enough science to go for fundamentalism. Yeah, and the fundamentalism coming out during that turn. I think it was 1 turn later. Maybe it would have been too late. If there was 1 less card in the deck, the game would have ended 1 turn earlier and Lemmings would have won this by a lot. So this game, even though it's not the closest one, I think it was super close because the biggest closeness we saw here was the 1 single card that Lemmings couldn't take, that he couldn't use his yellow card he had in his hand. He couldn't develop the rockets. So if he also had 2 more science, he might have ended the age. You can't even say that his hand was too full. He had 3 cards in his hand, could take 6 into his hand. So it's not like he filled his hand up with trash cards. I mean, maybe he shouldn't have grabbed the Engineering Genius in retrospect, but I can't really fault him for taking that one. But yeah, interesting game, very interesting game. Not the most balanced civilization in the end here. Megumi destroying everything, just going for the one big war. Ending his turn with 3 starvation, but still being able to win this game. So congrats Megumi for winning this game. And we're gonna take a look at their current standings. And here they are in Group 5. As you see, you saw the results already. No other games or no other groups have finished. Group 7 still close. So maybe that's going to be the next one that we see. Some of the other groups are rather slow, so it might take some time for them to really kick off. But Group 5 here, you can see already 2 games completed. No, only 1 game completed. Sorry, I saw the 2 points. 2 points for Megumi, because yes, only 1 game has completed. The one that we just saw, this was a really close one. So the next 4 could be close again. I wouldn't rule out Lemmings by any margin. I would think that he might do a comeback. So of course, great start for Megumi winning the first one here, but it being that close, this has... this of course means the first 2 points go to him. He has the better position now, but Lemmings is a very strong player, so he might do a comeback. If you guys want to see that possible comeback, you of course should subscribe to the channel and see the next game of the World Championship. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video and see you for the next one as well.